Thank you very much, Kevin.
Live streaming is on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in this evening, and thank you for being a part of tonight's special edition, special session. Yeah, it is special because it is not one of the usual sessions that we have been having, given the time that we're having it and the day. Nonetheless, we thank God. We thank God. And today we're privileged once again to have brother, uncle, Mr. Pastor. The titles are very many. I'm sure he will tell us which title he prefers to go by. But yeah, Uncle Ronnie Bbossa is with us this evening, and we're privileged to have him yet again. He has managed to find time within his busy schedule to pick up from where he left off last weekend, and on a very special session. The last time we met on Saturday, he was supposed to address certain issues. Unfortunately, we didn't have the time for that, so he promised, thankfully, to give us a little more time so that we can address that. Our topic for today is the spiritual pitfalls of customary weddings and marriage cultures. Now we know that is wide. It is wide. It's as wide as there are cultures and customs in Uganda. Thankfully, a lot of the cultures and customs in the country share certain activities and rituals and things like that. So we're just going to probably cut across and address as many as we possibly can over the next 2 hours or so. So without further ado, I'd like you all to join me in welcoming Uncle Ronnie Bbossa to share with us some of the rich knowledge and experience that he has accumulated over the years while serving the Lord in this ministry. Uncle Ronnie, you're very welcome.
Yes, Tony. Uh, Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the invite again. Thank you for organizing this. Uh, we'll go deeper in this again, as we have already shared. We were there together on Saturday. It was such a powerful time. We thank God. So today we will continue. I don't know that I need to recap on what we dealt with. The other thing I also requested, how do I need to attach the document. I don't know how that will be, but I'll see how I do that. I need to how to project the material, um, which I have for you here.
You like to share the screen?
Yes, sharing the screen.
Okay, there is an icon just after the video icon, the third one.
Just
After
a minute.
start camera, there is a share screen icon there.
Share screen. Okay. Um. Okay. Mhm. I don't know it's blocking, but I'm going to try again to share. Okay, seems not to be allowing to share. Um, Let me see if I can send it to Tony and then he shares it. Of course, I shared this with him. Just a minute, I share it again. Okay, I've shared it. Tuna will be able to share. I've shared, but I can also just use my screen here. I think it doesn't come out as I want, but it's okay. I can be able to run through. Praise the Lord once again. So we, by the way, I've invited some people online as well. So if you see people whom you are not part of Watoto, don't get shocked. I've just invited them to join us. This is part of the mentoring we do. I'll run through, I'll give a brief introduction. I have some discussion questions, but I want to concentrate so much on a biblical example of a marriage that was transacted in the Bible, and we learn some lessons and pick some takeaway. Florence is hearing you. She's with me. I think she's even online about this. So as a way of introduction, I've said that marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman with God and the community as witnesses. Marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman with God, number one, and number two, community as witnesses. Those two are very crucial. People should know how you're going to share your life. They may not over nose into your thing, but you need to, there must be a time when people say, yes, she's going to marry. Because life is a continuum. You are here, you will be here, then you depart. So there must be, that's not something secret. It's very crucial to life. It is part of perpetuating posterity, that it cannot be done separately or whatever. Is something that is very crucial in a person's life. So it is a very important thing that we need to appreciate how it is transacted. The whole process for a Christian need to be bathed in prayer. We need to lay a very strong foundation on the Bible, because there is much God has already done. We are not our own. We are the sheep of his pasture. So there is nothing new we are going to invent about anything with marriage, because he's the one who actually authored it. The first marriage, when God created man in the garden, the first institution he put there was marriage. He saw that it was not good for a man to be alone. He made him a comparable partner. As they stayed, they had this issue of marriage, and they had children. Now we are very many. So it is important that we appreciate the biblical values and the basis for marriage. Then the wedding. This is part of that process of covenant making. That wedding comes a day when you publicly say, I have crossed that line. I'm now Mrs. I'm now married. And even our cultures, they appreciate this process. Asajja Kude is now a man. They say those things. So the wedding is a process of covenant, part of the covenant making, and how you approach it will directly impact uh, yes, Tona has shared this. You got a bit. Hi, I'm there, right there. Thank you. So how you approach it will directly impact the future of that marriage. You're laying a foundation. So I don't think I can go through the dating processes, everything that you're going to be doing should feed into the covenant making process. The wedding is the pinnacle, but before the wedding, there has been processes coming. I normally say it this way: when you see someone in the church, you admire them, right? She's good, she's this, she's that, she's that. You pray about it. You talk to maybe pastor. You do whatever has to be done. And then time comes when you approach her for a date. And then you begin a process of working. Let's try it out. Let's date. Let's do this. Or let's not date. You begin walking that journey. And as you walk it, time comes when you must really tell the pastor that you are walking towards a marriage relationship. You're not just there, but you're getting steady. Why? Marriage is a covenant. So all the other activities we are doing, they are part of covenant making. When you tell her, go and tell mommy that I'm serious about what I have told you, I want to be with you forever, forever, until life does separate us, then she needs to go and tell people home that someone is seeing me. Why are you doing that? You want to make sure there is security um, in your relationship. Mommy says, are you sure? Mommy tells daddy. And then time comes when you say, okay, because I'm serious, time is coming when I want to share public, I want to go public. Let it be announced. And then the church pastor knows about it. Then you begin the process of introduction, all those things that we do. Time comes even church when they announce that these two are working towards marriage. So it is not just an event, it's a process. It is a process. It is a process. It is a process. It is what? A process, not just an event. So the way you walk will impact the future of that marriage. So please take note of that. The way you walk will impact the future of that marriage. If in your dating, you're already sleeping as if you're husband and wife, it will have impact on what your future you have. The people in the computer science, they say that jiggle, garbage in, garbage out. What you input into the relationship will determine what you get out of that relationship. So please appreciate the process of covenant making. Marriage is a covenant. Then there is the process of covenant making. The way you walk with her should be Amos, where it says, can the two walk together unless they have agreed? So you walking together towards marriage, there must be a minimum agreement. What values are you going to use in the dating and relationship? There is some agreement. When we begin walking, you agree on certain things. And it goes beyond you. When the church community sees you, says they begin question. They maybe even tell you, we see so and so with so and so. What is happening? They need to tell the pastors. They need to tell the family that we are walking toward. It's such a serious relationship. Some people have said that it is next to the salvation covenant. It is a serious covenant that we should do it right. We should do it right. So please note that I'm rotating around this because this has to be a very strong foundation. Marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman with God and the community as witnesses. Wedding is part of that process of covenant making. It is the pinnacle. Now, in the church, we are doing wedding, but also there are the traditional ways of doing things. So, of course, here in the Constitution in Uganda, acknowledges three or four. There is the traditional, there is the civil, and then there is the church marriage. Of course, there is the Muhammadan and the Hindu, Sikh Hindu marriages. We are discussing the Christian biblical value of marriage. So even in church, when you say we are relating and we want to get married, pastors will tell you, have you asked for permission from the parents to marry this girl? Have you met the requirement of taking away the girl? The church will require you to have a letter from your parents, and that's why that quangular thing is intended to do. I will not go so much on that, but I will tell you some processes of those things which are done there. A few, not all. There is so much, as Tony said. This is a huge thing. So the church, before they wed you, they require that you have sorted out the family requirements for you to take their daughter. And each culture and tradition have set of values they use in marriage. Before, during, after. Before, during, after. So we are going to discuss a few of those things. So we have about 2 discussion questions to help us navigate this whole thing. We are asking ourselves question, what are the seemingly innocent common rituals and actions done during customary and cultural wedding ceremonies in Uganda that can have serious implications on the life of marriage of a Christian? This is where we're going to discuss a few of these. The question is, what are the seemingly innocent common rituals and actions done during customary and cultural wedding ceremonies in Uganda that can have serious implication on life and marriage of a Christian? The word culture here comes from the word cult. Cult is a belief system. Tradition is the way people behave. It's a tradition, norms and traditions, norms and customs. Ennono n'empisa z'abantu. So the way people do things, the belief system is the culture and the way they do things. That's what we're going to look at. So I've just put down a few for purposes of discussion, and I pray that you bring up some of the things you would want us to share. But for instance, I was just sharing with my wife, we're discussing the dressing code, the dress code. And we have observed these days, you see someone putting on a gown, good gown, but then a gown has a slit, which is showing almost whatever we don't want to see. Then the boobs are out, they are pumped out and packed out. So the question is, what is this all about? What are we doing? What are you displaying? Who is intended it? Who's intended for? You've been with us. You've not been embracing like that. Now during the wedding, you come and you do all these things at a gate of marriage. I mean, the covenant making. You're now displaying some stuff. What is it all about? Then there is the other thoughts. Should I really put on a gown? This is the Bazungu thing. Why don't I put on a gomesi or something else? And the question we are saying is not a problem. A gown or no gown, you can get married. What do we say marriage is all about? Covenant making. How you make it is the key issue. How you dress, we can differ. But the question is, what is informing your dressing? That's what we should concentrate on. Whether you don't like the Bazungu dressing, fine. Then what are you dressing? For instance, I would not really run to embrace, for instance, the Buganda culture. If someone now comes and dresses in Rubugo, the back cloth, and he says, this is what I want to put on my wedding. For instance, in the Buganda culture, when you see the Rubugo, it means a lot of stuff. Rubugo is where they used to bury people when they are calling spirits. One of the priest is one of the dress code of the priest. So I would ask questions if I see you saying, I want to dress the back cloth on my wedding. I would be asking certain questions like, is she a priestess of the gods of our ancestors? I begin asking those questions. What is informing your dress code? What is it that is informing your dress code? Of course, the Europeans, where we draw much of some of this culture, they had their basis of dressing white. White as, whatever the information of dressing that way. And we also have a reason why we dress kanzu. It is now official, it's an official dress. And we give some reasons, but the negative basis, normally we hide it. Why do you dress the gomesi? So a takeaway is we are in the process of covenant making. It is about covenant making. How you dress is part of it, but whether you dress a foreign culture or a foreign culture, what is informing your dress code? Are you dressing decently? Like I've just said, these days you go to a wedding and you begin really, really seeing that as if the bride is a prostitute of some sort. So what are the reasons? What is informing your dressing code? And I've just put down here a few things. I say don't dress seductively. Don't dress seductively. Who are you seducing? You have got a husband. So you are seducing who? Another person's husband? Whatever. Why do you should dress for him or undress for him? And where do you do that? There are those small dresses we can dress when we are only us in the bedroom. You can't come with those out in the dining room. You would have crossed certain lines. So what you dress when matters. It speaks your heart. As the Bible says that what is in the heart, the mouth speak, or you display it. What is full in the heart, you display it, you show off. So that tells us a bit of who you are, the way you dress. The Bible says in Genesis that the two were even naked and were not ashamed. The two, not the community. The community has come to witness your wedding. So you should not dress as if you're dressing for two. I was putting here that now, why would you want to shame everybody in the public? You can dress your small, tight panties and everything for your husband when you're two. Why should you do that at the wedding? in the public, in the process of covenant making. What are you covenanting that marriage to? Promiscuity, lasciviousness, immorality? What is it? So those are issues that should come as you talk about dress. And we have just made sure we just put some few. For instance, in the Bible, Exodus 28, verse 2, God told Moses, make garments for your brother Aaron, that he may serve me as a priest. These garments are for honor and glory. You need to honor the people who have come on your wedding. Honor your parents. Now, when you dress like a slut, is it a slut? Yes, a slut. At a process of government, are you honoring your parents who have raised you up? Actually, people will think that your parents are raising you up as a slut, a prostitute of some sort. Honor your body, honor yourself, but also honor the people who are part of your covenant making. Whether you dress a chitenji, let it be to the glory of God. You're honoring yourself and the people who have come to be part of your covenant making. So now, if you have this in mind, the way you conduct yourself will matter. These days, if you have, they say the official dress is this. If you're coming for wedding, if you're coming for a meeting, you can put on casual or official. No, they even selected the dressing code. Dressing should be for honor and for glory. Decency. Decency. Number two, these are just highlighters. Number two, drinking. Of course, I'm taking customary marriage to mean introductions. Introductions here, that's what we are meaning. What exactly is involved? What of course, people drink themselves silly. They are merrymaking, but they go beyond the merrymaking and they do many things. But there are a few things that I thought we could highlight. In Uganda here, when you are coming into negotiation and everything, you are told that you should be having some drink as you talk, even if it's another deal, whether it's a business deal, but especially the marriage covenant here. As you talk about things, you talk about whether you're drinking or you're getting something to drink. So when you go for Kwanjula, they say njogeza, echigula ruji. The spokesperson begins to open the drink and drink. Say, oh, this is good. You're welcome. Let's talk. As you talk, you drink more. Now, in the old customs, they used to use the mwenge bigere. You discuss business over mwenge bigere, for instance, local brew. Now, for us as Christians, we may not go that line. We may say, okay, if that is the case, it's good always. It is the part of humanity. When you're talking, you give a drink. So, but it should not necessarily be the mwenge bigere. We can talk of a soda or mineral water. Why should it be mwenge bigere? Then that's why they say, this is culture. This is our tradition. You shouldn't by now as a Christian say, I'm a Christian. I will not do the mwenge bigere. However, while we talk, we can talk over a glass of water, a glass of a juice or soda. So instead of taking the chitacho mwenge, you go with the crates of sodas. So when the man say, hey, njogeza, you pull out your first crate. We should be around there. I think Tony need to show us his video of Kwanjula. You present. And then the discussions go on. Have I met the requirement of covenant making or discussion? Yes, there must be a drink. Yes, I have presented a drink. Which drink? Soda. In olden days, what were they doing? Mwenge was the best thing to do. Me, I've changed it as a Christian. I realize that is not my value, I'll put this. I have not sidestepped the part of the covenant making, but I've changed the content of it. So I thought this was important for us to appreciate. The byanzi by'amate. Okay. In the olden days, they didn't have containers. They would use byanzi and they would give milk. Should we continue to give milk, or we can give something else? What if the husband I'm marrying is not from the milk culture? Some of us are married from the land which flows with milk and honey. Others have not. So do we have to really put that shaken milk and everything, which people have never maybe even drunk, or we can put water, a glass of water, or a glass of juice, or whatever. So now me, who is going as a Christian, all these are issues I should be addressing. While we are talking, it is part of the good norms to welcome a visitor and give them a drink. That is okay. Does it always have to be mate? Or it can be something else? Again, this is where we need to open our minds up. Then another thing, this issue of libation. Libation is a very spiritual issue. What is libation? The act of pouring the drink or dedicating the drink to the gods. Some cultures say before you serve the guests, you should serve the gods. You should serve the dead ancestors first. So before a guest can drink something, the ancestors should bless it first. Now that is the mindset. Those are the traditions and norms of our people. So what do they do at such a major gate of covenant making? What do they do? The thing you've brought, like now in Kwanjula, hey, welcome, hey, thank you for the drink. But for us here, before we partake on this, we really invoke the judges, we invoke the gods, we invoke our late ancestors to come and approve and bless and actually be part of the whole ceremony. This is their granddaughter. So I take this opportunity to serve them so they pour on the ground fast. So either the spokesperson or whoever does that. Now, remember, we are saying that we are in the covenant making process. So whatever is being done around that, it is becoming part of the covenant. So somewhere where we have gone and told them, for us, we don't do these things, at least they will kick a bottle and it falls down by itself. What are they trying to say? You can't just come here and do things without our dead ancestors being part of it. At least they create an accident or an incident where a bottle falls or gets broken and something pours on the ground. Now, in that case, I don't have control as a Christian, but what do? I pray. I say, Lord, this ceremony we are dedicating it into your hand. We know 1, 2, 3, 4 things are done at this time. But we repent of these wicked cultures. We renounce them. They will not be part of this particular function. Lead the way. Even if they go ahead and do this, it shall not stand because our foundation shall be based on the Bible. Whatever they do outside of this, we reject it. We disagree with it. So when you have prayed your function through, some of these things may not even happen. But we are sharing it so that you are aware. If you don't pray, if you don't do your part well, all these you may think, hey, someone creates a cake or something. But actually, they are inviting the gods to be part of the ceremony. They are inviting the dead ancestors to be part of the ceremony. So we need to appreciate some of these things Even the Bible, we see First Samuel chapter 7. I didn't put it here. First Samuel chapter 7. Samuel, when Israel gathered together and the Philistines attacked them, he offered a sacrifice, but also he poured water on the ground. It's a very spiritual thing. He poured water on the ground. The Bible says, and God thundered in the camp of the Philistines. So what seems innocent, hey, you pay good day. Yeah, it can actually be highly contentious in the spiritual realm. It can be invoking the dead to come alive in your meeting. It can be invoking the gods to come and have their share. Whether you understand it or you don't understand it, it is done. And many times it's done on your function, with or without your permission. So they need to understand this and pray through all this. Oh, praise Jesus. How about eating? Eating ruombo without salt. I really would not go deeper into this because there are things I wouldn't want to speak online, but they are very disturbing things about this ruombo thing. And let me mention a few. The ruombo is prepared by the Senga. Senga speak things over the ruombo. The intention and whatever is done there is that only this my daughter should, this man should only look at my daughter only and not another woman. She cooks it while speaking. Now that we call it in spiritual language chanting. Prepares it chanting. Let this man only look at this my daughter. Let him never do it. This thing I'm putting in here. When he eats it, let him never. It's a whole ceremony. And what they put there, I will not mention it online. And then they say you eat it without salt. Of course, even the others sometimes they eat, but this there is a special one for the Mugore only Senga. He is the one the Senga prepares it, the Senga it. She guards it. It is not given to anybody. So one of our friends, what we did was as a group, we have been guiding each other. So as they served, they took the bagore inside with a few of them. They say, okay, abagore bagenda kulira wano abagore abasajja team y'omwami etuyingira. When we had finished serving, then the thing came on a platter. Ah, this is yours, sir. I said, what is this? This is for the Mugore. He said, okay, put it here. Then for all the Bagore is here. And he's not going to eat it. No, it is a requirement. He has to eat it. I said, no. We have been served together as a team. Now, let me just go into some details here. That's why, for us, what we are doing, you hire a service provider. Because some of these cultures are very dangerous that you need to be wise. I think with the next question will answer this. You need to be what? Wise. So among the wisdom we are telling you, hire a service provider for catering. Let them do a professional work. Come and serve the people. These are your guests. Let them be served. And let's serve professional and not these other mixture of concoctions of whatever sort. So then you will have sidestepped some of these things. But this is what they do traditionally: cook food, no salt. And yet, for instance, I will say this: the Senga wants the marriage to be preserved. Biblically, salt is a preservative, scientifically and biblically and prophetically. Salt is what? A preservative. So you should be putting salt in the food. But our culture, which are some of them are based on satanic foundations, they are saying don't put the salt. You are the last light and the salt of the world. These ones are removing salt. And then at the same time, you're saying, I want a preservation of the marriage. So what are you, what is this? Where is this worldview? Where is this worldview coming? Where is this belief system coming from? So that's why for us, we are saying the new apostolic reformation, we are saying, uh, do a professional catering service to avoid all these things. Don't allow some secret eating by the Mugula alone. For what? Okay, they can go in a closet, but let it be publicly served. What are we doing? We are serving. So anything you do about that eating, it is becomes part of the covenant. What are we eating? Why are we eating it? So you are entering into what they call salt covenant. You enter into a covenant with this via eating. You know, and in the Bible, so there was a covenant like that between Laban and Jacob. But one time they had to eat as a sign of no more hostility. No more hostility. That is a good one. But then what are we eating? We can eat together. Serve chicken. You eat the left leg of the chicken, I eat the right leg of the chicken. We eat. That's like. But when you add some herbs there, I would not want to eat that. Chicken is chicken. You know. So those eating things, what do they put in that ruombo? Why do they put it there? I've given you one of the mindset. We want this marriage to be preserved. So the Senga, who is now a bit mature, prepares it chanting and speaking and doing a few things. But it doesn't put salt. Yet in the Bible, we know that salt is a preservative. Prophetically, salt is a preservative. Scientifically, salt is a preservative. If you want preservation of the marriage, why would you eliminate salt unless you're getting this wisdom from a wrong source? That is about the eating. Uh-huh. From the Western culture, some of us where we marry, you bring a kalo in a what? In a basket. Where is it written that when you eat kalo on a plate, it does not? But because old days people didn't have mechanism of protecting or keeping it warm and that kind of thing, they put it in a basket. Should we continue with the basket? This is what we are saying. The basket is not wrong in itself, but what are we inviting? What are we preserving? What is wrong with putting it in the serving dishes? Millet is millet. But every time you do some of these, you are actually invoking and inviting a few things. You know, those things we need to check on them and address them. Eating, I was on one of them, and then they bring the bridegroom, not the bride, but the bridegroom. There's three people there. They take you into the house of the father. The father of the uncle is there, and they say, in Buganda here, the other cultures I may not get them well, but the Buganda here say kati ozaliddwa mu nyumba. Okuzaalibwa mu nyumba, oyingira mu nyumba ne bakuwa emmwanyi n'olwendo lw'amazzi. You know the gourd, the small one. Now, again, these are things that are kind of troubling and disturbing. Does it have to be coffee? Of course, in Uganda, coffee was always used as a sign of what? Covenant making, okutta omukago. You would pick, for instance, what they call omukago. You got a coffee bean. Why? Coffee has always been a cash crop. Coffee is a spiritual thing than we think. You pick a coffee bean, you cut your umbilical cord, pick some blood, mix it, and give the other one. The other one also does that, and you eat. When you do that, you are now entering into a blood covenant. You are blood brothers. Blood had to be involved in that. Of course, I thank God that AIDS was not there and other blood sicknesses. But that's what it was meant. That is a very strong. In other words, for me to separate from this covenant, My blood is at stake. That is the implication of that activity. So please understand that whatever thing you do, you it has deeper implication that you may know. You may not know or know. And as such, when you do them without knowledge, they will have implications on your marriage, even on your work. You know, it will have deeper implications. I'm just told you how the coffee beans were used to enter into blood covenants. This one, they don't do it like that, but they bring water and they say you cannot be a son in the house unless you've done that. So one of the way we have been doing this is okay, we have accepted to be born in this house, but do we have to eat everything in the house? Do we have to drink in a the Rwendo Rwamas? Can't we drink in a glass? You've already given us a drink. Does it have to be? And that's why I brought up two scriptures to help us navigate this. Why? The rituals we are doing, they become part of the covenant. But what does the Bible say? Genesis 16, 16:19, 18:20. There are words there. There are words there that I want to read, especially in regard to this issue of marriage and marriage covenant. Let me begin with 18. He says, truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say to you, if two of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am among them. Let me look for 16 as well. 16. Okay, from 13 says, now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say that the Son of Man is? And they said, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said to them, but who do you say I am? Simon Peter replied, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. I'll give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then strictly charged their disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. They speak almost similar thing, but I wanted to pick out the element of agreement. If the 12 of you shall agree, we are discussing marriage as being a covenant, and weddings, introductions, every other thing is part of the covenant making process. Covenant making process. So the best thing is the two of you have agreed. Have the two of you agreed? So when you agree, there are things you should not agree to as part of these cultures. So part of covenant making from this perspective, the two shall agree. The parties shall agree. You can't not force me to do something which I'm not in agreement, which is going to become a covenant. What is a covenant? It's an agreement to cut out certain terms, and it has conditions, it has penalties. So if I'm not comfortable with what I'm doing, I should not be party to the covenant. Okay, I'll come back to that a little bit later. Then the issues of sexuality. The issues of what? Sexuality. Sexuality. I'm not going to go deep in this. It's a very loaded subject. But for instance, let me just give you the traditions and some of the cultures. The old school would say, on your wedding night, when you've married a man, your auntie goes with you in your bridal bed or marital bed. Those days there was nothing like honeymooning. I put down something about honeymooning. You got married, you entered the house. There was nothing like let's go and learn each other, all those things. No, you did it right there, right live inside the house. Sometimes others would actually come and pay attention and listen to what was going on. So the old school says your auntie will go with you in that bedroom and she will be the one to go to the bed, and the husband, she will teach you what you're going to be doing with your husband while you're watching. So these are, isn't that what you call practicals? You know, we talked about our sharing tonight is what are some of the seemingly innocent rituals which can have impact on your life and on your marriage. Remember, this is now your husband. Why would you say be sleeping with him? Perhaps you are a virgin, you have never seen this. What are you seeing on your wedding night? You're witnessing a promiscuous relationship, immoral stuff, in the name of culture. In the name of culture. You've married this man, you've made a vow, for instance, in the church, until that separate us. Already, this one is in between you. You know, that is the old school. These are values we are talking about, the old values of our traditions. How about the current traditions? I'm told there are some singers to hire. They take you through lessons and they overload you with, I would call it, demonic counsel on sexuality. This is how you handle a man. You do this, you do that, you do this. And it's a business now in the city here. I believe strongly that the church now need to come back and reorient the people into this whole issue of sexuality. The sexual confusion, sexual disorientation, whatever. And I put down 2 points to give us a biblical view. Uh, First John chapter 2, verse 27 does talk about that you have anointing and you do not need someone to teach you. You know, the anointing, you have anointing that you don't need someone. Not that you are don't get others teach you, but there are things we should be confident. They are natural things. I keep wondering who taught Adam and Eve sexuality? How did they have their first encounter? How did they produce the children without surgery and the cesarean section? These are natural processes. These are natural processes. They are natural processes that will need to go on naturally. You know, just to discuss how did Adam date and all those kind of things, and how did this begin off? How did they, meet? What was the dating game like? So the question is, the way we do it, should not contradict certain things, you know. So what do we need to know? They are natural processes, they are basic things to address, which if we seek the counsel of people who behave like prostitutes, we are going to ruin our marriages. The other thing is that every man is unique. The other one told you about may not be your husband. Your husband may be unique. Someone has written about the love languages. It's a guide. The way one responds is not the way the other one responds. You know. So we need to guard against these issues. Secondly, uh, again, there is some controversy in the church, but I find the Song of Solomon very, very, very. They have directions in these areas. You know, talks about touch me this, do this. A lot of it is in the Bible. So the Bible has not left us without guidance in almost every area of life. And when we go to people whose lifestyle and values and traditions and cultures, uh, what are they? What are they standing for? Are they for God or for something else? You need to watch out for that. I put down here about the honeymoon, the historical issues about the honeymoon. This came from Europe. You know, we now prefer to call it bridal retreat or rest. Surely you have been working hard. You have been working hard. You need the rest. You need the retreat. Ponder through, love each other, come to learn each other. That it would be okay. And that again is part of the natural process. Even the Bible says that when someone gets married, they should be given a holier rest. It is in the Bible. To try to understand, you have come into a covenant, a new life, your expectations, and you have to begin off a family. This is a serious covenant that you needed to do it and have rest. You needed to learn. Remember, these are two people who are just coming together. They need to grow up together. Even the people who grow up together, they don't know each other properly. But remember, this is going to be an intimate relationship. They need to learn each other. It is granted. But what else do we do with it? You know, the European culture, which many of us have adopted, they will spend at least a month away. What does this mean? They spend a month away doing what? Knowing each other, having intimate relationship, and the mindset is this, within this 1 month we should be conceiving. You know, the woman's fertility cycle is in a month. Within a month we should conceive. So to conceive, you needed to believe the God of fertility. One of the way they will do it is to eat honey as a part of the ritual of believing and servicing the God of fertility to give you children in that 1 month. So the Europeans call it honeymoon. Part of the activities to believe for a conception within that one cycle, and you would call upon the God of fertility. Among the things you would do is to eat honey. So you call it honey. And many others. I'm just highlighting a few of them. Retreating is okay. Going with your bride away is okay. What else follows? Some girls are even given things. This one, you only do it when you're there. You tie this thing there. Now, I find that a problematic issue. Okay, let's move on, Tony. So I want to now us to go to, should be a biblical example. I've just given a few. There are many, but I want us to go to the second question. How should a Christian maneuver through the demands for these actions during customary wedding ceremonies or introduction, as we would say? There are 2 or 3 things I would advise. There could be more. Number one on the list, do your research. on the cultures and the tradition of the bride and scrutinize them in light of God's word. And of course, both sides. But in many cases, this way, when we are going for introduction, we are going to the woman's side. They want to use that to get to initiate us into their thing. Do research. Agree with your wife. And let me, I don't know the reference as well, but let me just summarize what we would want to say. The girl becomes a link to the family. We send them, go and ask what is expected of me when I come for introduction. The second question, what norms do they do? What is it required? Get all the information before long, before you even ever go for introduction. Come back and discuss it. Consult even your pastor. Also, foundation, it will be shaken. It will be shaken. So do your research. Do your what? Your research. I'll tell you one of the things that when we're going, they say you must put there brew, local brew has to be part of this ceremony. I told the spokesperson, I said, no, I'm a Christian and I don't drink and I don't want to give it to anybody. And this is part of my ceremony. I can't do that. Me, I've told you, the culture here, the clans people will give you a headache. Of course, they raised it up and I rejected it. You know? So, of course, the guy told us the culture. I said, no, this one we don't do, this one we don't do, this one we shall do, this one we don't do. But he insisted on the last day, my friend, the clans people need this thing. I said, no, I don't drink and I can't give it to someone. If you don't drink, then you give it to others. I said, no, I don't even need any drink on my ceremony. And we agreed with my wife. And the father is a reverend. So I said, no. And we had the agreement between us and the parents. So we had a strong base. But listen, culture can influence things negatively, even when you don't want them. And that's why we should be strong on what we want to do. Agree beforehand. So do your research. Know the expectations. Prove it. Does it compromise the word of God? Does it compromise the values you want to cultivate in your marriage? Scrutinize them. The other scripture, the other word that came to me, that we need to be wise as serpents, but humble as doves. Wise at the same time humility. Humility will really take you very far. Number 3, engage in prayer. Engage in prayer. For instance, part of being wise is mwaze nekita ky'omwenge nti ye mukireete wano. You bring the crate of soda. What is the essence of that? It's a drink. What type of drink is there? It's a drink. The drink I believe in, not the drink you believe in. That is being wise. That is being what? Wise. Mujje tubazaale mu nyumba, olina okulya emmwanyi, olina okunywa olwendo lw'amazzi. Actually, that rendo, they drink, all of you may drink on the same. With this COVID, you want me to drink on the same whatever? No. If the 2 of you shall agree, if we are in agreement, I don't necessarily need to drink that. I don't know that someone is getting this. Then engage in prayer. Identify the contentious issues. Pray. Pray. You can receive favor. Prayer will break the barriers. Praise the name of the Lord. I want us to look at Genesis. Genesis. I don't have all the time to do justice to this thing, but this is one of the key scripture that form the basis for our marriage breakthrough ministry. It's loaded. It is loaded. Genesis 29. Genesis what? 29. But when you go on the other previous notes, you discover Genesis 27 through 29. Rachel, who was Jacob's mother, said, I am tired with Esau's wives. If Jacob also married from this place, life will make no meaning. When that word came out, Isaac, the father and the mother, told Jacob, go to your uncle Laban, and from there you will pick a wife. In other words, having scanned through the culture of Canaan, the parents of Jacob never wanted him to marry from there. When they looked at the behavior of the women there and how Esau had married some of them, and they said, they should not be with Jacob. Again, cultures. So they sent him to a culture where they believed was better than here. And he went. He went. Verse 21 says, then Jacob went briskly and cheerfully on his way 400 miles and came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in the field, and behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of the well, the flocks were watered. The stone on the well's mouth was a big one. And when all the flock were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and replace the stone on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, my brothers, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran. Jacob said to them, do you know Laban, the grandson of Nahor? They said, do we know him? Asking questions, doing research. He said to them, is it well with him? And they said, yeah, he's doing well. And behold, here comes his daughter Rachel with his sheep. Divine encounter. He said, the sun is still high. It is a long time yet before the flocks need to be gathered in their folds. Why not water the sheep and return them to their pasture? But they said, we cannot until all the flocks are gathered together. Then the shepherds throw the stone from the well's mouth, and we water the sheep. While we were still talking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she shepherded them. When Jacob saw Rachel, daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his uncle, Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of his uncle Laban. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and he wept aloud. Jacob told Rachel he was her father's relative, Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. When Laban heard of the arrival of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him and embraced and kissed him and brought him to his house. And Jacob told Laban all these things. Then Laban said to him, surely you are my bone and my flesh. And Jacob stayed with him a month. I read that one, but let's begin from verse 15. It says, Laban said to Jacob, just because you're my relative, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me, what shall be your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak and dull looking, but Rachel was beautiful and attractive, and Jacob loved Rachel. So he said, I will work for you for 7 years for Rachel, your young daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than to other men. Stay and live with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Finally, Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my time is complete, so that I may take her to me. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast with drinking. Made a feast with drinking. But when night came, he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Jacob, who had intercourse with her. And Laban gave Zilpah his maid to his daughter Leah to be maid. But in the morning Jacob saw his wife, and behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not work for you all those 7 years for Rachel? Why then have you deceived and cheated and thrown me down like this?" And Laban said, "It is not permitted in our country to give the young in marriage before the elder." Otherwise, in our culture. Finish the wedding feast week for Leah, then we will give you Rachel also, and you shall work for me yet 7 more years in return. So Jacob complied and fulfilled Leah's week. Then Laban gave him Rachel his daughter as his wife. And Laban gave Bilhah his maid to Rachel his daughter to be her maid, and Jacob lived with Rachel also as his wife, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served Laban another 7 years for her. And when the Lord saw that Leah was despised, he made her able to bear children. But Rachel was barren, and Leah became pregnant and bore a son, and named him Reuben, see, a son. For she said, "Because the Lord has seen my humiliation and affliction, now my husband will love me." Leah became pregnant again and bore a son and said, "Because the Lord heard that I am despised, he has given me this son also." And she named him Simeon, God hears. And she became pregnant again and bore a son. And he said, "Now this time will my husband be a companion to me." Okay, will be a companion to me, sorry. She became pregnant again and bore a son and said, "Now this time my husband will be a companion to me, for I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore he named Levi. He was named Levi. Again she conceived and bore a son, and she said, "Now will I praise the Lord." So she called his name Judah, praise. Then for a time she ceased bearing. But chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I die. I'll die." And Jacob became very angry with Rachel and said, "Am I in God's stead who has denied you children?" And she said, "See here, take my maid Bilhah and have intercourse with her, and when the baby comes, she shall deliver it upon my knees, that I by her may also have children." You can read the story down. I'm just going to summarize now over this matter. And this is just to help us appreciate this. Did Jacob intend to marry 2 or more wives? Yes?
No,
He didn't.
no, he didn't.
It ends up that culture causes him to marry more than 2. He married 2. There was another culture that if the woman would not produce, the maid would become a dangerous substitute. Culture. So Jacob ended up having 4 wives, 2 wives and 2 concubines because of culture. Please take that note very seriously. Jacob, in his heart, he never left his father and mother to marry many wives. After all, the grandfather Abraham, the father Isaac never had too many wives. They had one. But culture altered Jacob's destiny. Culture altered Jacob's destiny, life and destiny and marriage. How? You don't marry the one you love, you marry the one culture gives you. And I remember last time I shared with you about the traditions here in Uganda. One of them is this is according to a missionary called John Roscoe. He wrote this in the Baganda, the customs and traditions of the people of Uganda. The first woman you marry is called Kadurubari, and that one is the one who has to do with your fetishes. Fetishes. She takes care of your fetishes. She takes care of your fetishes, charisma, your spirituality, your worship. But then the culture also say, when you want another one, you can get another one on top of this one, but this one is the Kadurubari. She should be a priestess. Let me put it in that term. She takes care of your spiritual life. That's why it is not necessarily you who pick her. They pick her for you. Because for you do not know the gods, what they want. And many of us, that's where those of us where I say, Ojakuwa son, they pick for you. Be careful. You may be marrying a priestess of the gods, family gods, tribal gods, clan gods. It's good for parents to see for you, but it should be the one you have chosen. You have a stake in your marriage. After all, you are the one who is going to live with that until death separates you. It is okay to see for someone, it's okay, but not impose them. Why? We understand some of our cultures. Your first wife should be a priestess to you. And because of that, and you're not experiencing the issues of the tradition, that's why they choose that person for you. However, if you feel she's not meeting what you want, you may get another one. What are we doing? Encouraging a culture of promiscuity, polygamy. Those are traditions. Just like Jacob would never intend to marry many. His grandfather, his father had one wife. And for him, culture says you can't have this one when you're not, this one is still there. The second culture say if you this one doesn't produce, the maid will become a dangerous substitute. You know, all this played out in the life and marriage of Jacob. He worked for 7 years, talk about dowry, to get the other one. When the time came, they sidestepped him. Lies, deception. Remember what we discussed the other day? Lies, deception. This is one killer of marriages. Are you this? I am. Then the time comes, you are not. You know, lies and deception. Much of our traditions are based on falsehood. You don't get the truth. You don't get to know the truth. That's why we say you should do your research and set a new standard for your marriage because it is a covenant with God and the community as witnesses. You know, so please do your research very well. Oh, praise the name of Allah. So we see deceptive trickery at the foundation of the marriage. As it go through? Yes, deception continued. It continued along the way. We see Jacob marrying more than one woman, which he didn't intend, but now culture is driving him that way. And there are many consequences of that. There was rivalry. That's why I went to chapter 30. No? When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. This is a sister, but she envied her. Why? We are in a marriage. And if you're in a marriage with me and I'm not getting what I want, I am not okay. So now, for instance, if these were not biblical characters, what will they do? They will solicit for the spiritual realm to come and mediate or eliminate the other party. Envy her. Envy means I wish what you have should be mine. I wish you are away. It should not be yours. I should be the one with what you have. So when they go to the spiritual guides, whatever agreement they make, they become part of this marriage, the behavior, the rivalry. I give you my maid, give me children. The maid produces. The other one says she has stopped producing. Say, hey, since now the other one also has now I'm also giving you my maid. You should produce more children for me. So I am the majority. When democracy comes to pass, I will have the right, the final say. What are you seeing in this marriage? Confusion, chaos, rivalry, bitterness. So there is so much that we see with this marriage. So I want to read the end here and get some questions if there is any. But I thought I should highlight this. The troubles in Jacob's household were laid at the foundation of marriage. Marriage is the foundation for family. He ended up marrying one woman he loved. He ended up marrying the one he doesn't love. You can imagine being in a marriage when you don't love the person you're married to. There will be a drag. But the culture says, this is the way you're going to do it. This is the way you're going to do it. I've given the Uganda culture observed by a missionary. The first woman should serve as a priest to you. Should you want to do any other thing, you can get another one. It rhymes here with Uganda. It was in the Bible, it is here. There is another culture. She's not producing, take the maid. The man ended up having 4 women, which his mother and father never told him to do, because for them they were only 2 people. And if you went deeper, you'll see the struggling, the wrestling that happened. Could it be that the reason why we are struggling in our marriage is because of the foundation we laid on cultural values that are not godly? Is it time to reorient our marriages to the godly patterns? God bless you. I am waiting for questions. Let me look at the chat. Am I reading any chat here? I don't think I have any questions. Any questions, people? Okay, Tony, may I hand over to you?
Yes, thank you very much, Uncle Ronnie. Thank you for delivering yet again detailed and insightful sharing on the customs and the rituals. And
You're welcome.
as you mentioned, yes, as you mentioned earlier, yes, I had my experience. Of course, you are there with me. You remember what we had to go through. So some of the things that you have shared, yes, Priscilla and I witnessed them firsthand. And we thank God for the wisdom and the grace that He gave us to maneuver through some of these things. So, yeah, thank you very much for sharing. Sarah, your hand is up. You'd like to say something?
Okay, thank you so much, Uncle T and Uncle Ronnie. I just need a clarification on the milk part of it. Is there something that was about the milk and then the gourd? Is it called a gourd? Yeah.
Okay. My sharing was, again, we are dealing with cultures. For instance, during the olden days, they didn't have containers, they didn't have glasses. What did they have? The gourds grow naturally there. So they put in there the viands, they grow naturally within they are part of our economy. So, as part of that celebration, they bring the thing in the chance, the ruendo, the gourd. Yeah, it was a container. The question I was asking you, and I should ask again, do we still need to use the similar thing when we have now glasses, we have containers, and the and the other better tools in our generation? Why should we insist on bringing the vianzi, even if we are going to drink milk? Can't we drink milk in glasses? And we are saying that if you're not serious, when you begin looking back in those things, you may pick up something you do not actually subscribe to. I talked about a dress code of, if someone says, me, I'm going to put on a back cloth for my marriage. From the little I know about the Uganda culture, I say, why? Is she a priestess? That will tell me more about you by your dress code. That's why I gave you Exodus 28, verse 2. The priests were identified by their dress code. So, for instance, if you are a priestess in a Uganda kingdom and culture, like now me, I will be hesitant to marry you even when you came to church. Say, the way she's insisting on putting on a backcloth, I think she's a priestess in the culture. Let's check first before I hurry. I don't know why you get the point. So the medic may not have a problem. The other question I said is, now that I have brought Obo or Bbossa, and Bbossa is not from the milk culture, does he have to drink milk? Or we can put something else. We are trying to reform and bring some Bible culture into these cultures and traditions. These are questions I asked you so that you give me some answers, what your thoughts are. Let my wife say something about the question. If you tell us if you're hearing her, please, guys.
Something about the milk. Yes, you can you can do the milk in the vianzi and whatever because it is the tradition. But before you as you're preparing your introduction and in your culture those vianzis and the milk is what is served. Can you do the research? Find out who does that milk because it is all in the preparation. What attachments are with those vianzis? Because if you go deep into the cultures, let me say this is mostly in the Western culture, you will find there is a particular person who will want to do or who is called upon to work and prepare those vianzis, and in their preparation, their words spoken over them, their special, they will put a special chance for for the mko, and of course, when the milk is put there, whoever is doing the process of preparing the milk, putting it in the tansi, is, enchanting, talking things. Like in the Buganda culture, where the Senga will prepare the
Yeah,
food of the moko, this deep in the Western culture, this is done on the Bianzi. In your preparation, you need to go deep and find out who is doing this. Is this person a Christian? Should we or should we not use the Bianzi? You need to be wise on how you, it, just in case you find out that whoever is brought in to prepare this, you are not sure of the person, then you are safer to discuss with your family to do away with the Bianzi and serve the milk in glasses. If you have done your research well and you trust the person who is doing that preparation, then it is okay. Because some of these things, a lot of a lot of attachments are brought in. I'll give an example of say in the west there is no in the central they will put a mat for the Mgole when she comes out. In the west, they will bring out the skin, the cow skin, well prepared. They usually cut them out nicely, like they make them like mats. If you are not careful with those skins, anyone can do anything with that mat. Like someone will come and use the same mat against the Mgole onto the marriage. So that's why I'm saying you need to do your research well. These things are traditional things. Yes, they are okay, but have you done your background check so that yes, if I'm going in to use this, what are the attachments?
Who is doing?
Who is in the background in preparation of this, so that you
can't
don't
keep
have
them
attachments
become part of your
become
covenant.
part of your ceremony and function. Because whatever you do at this point in time kind of lays a foundation of what will go into your marriage.
Someone, is it Monica Tony? Is that okay? I see some people in the chat.
Yes, please.
Should I attempt them or any other?
Please do.
You wanted another?
Please do.
Uncle Ronnie,
Please do.
there is something I had for Mrs. Bbossa before she goes off.
Hmm.
About okay, there were two things. Can someone still chant on the glasses? The milk is in the glass, not in Chanzi. Can't it still be chanted on? And
Yeah, you
then
can.
number two, about the skins. Me, from what I know, my name is Sarah Nankanja. I'm a Muganda, and from what I know, the skins are usually used in the shrines. It is very okay. Maybe there used to be, we had an argument. Was it an argument? Oh, yeah, it was really a hot argument. Last time, people were saying, why is it that the things we think we are using then are bad, like are evil? For example, you see that Chanzi thing, like what Mrs. Bbossa has said, Chanzi and what else? Things that look like the couple Mr. Bbossa talked about. Someone might say, look here, I'm preserving my food. We still have, if the whites are using glasses, because again, it was more of the white culture cropping in here, and we think everything of ours is evil. So someone will tell you, if the whites are using a glass, did they begin with a glass? Then they will talk about evolution, etc. I think that person didn't understand the evil thing about it. Now, putting the evil aside, if everything is clear, how can you again explain to someone that please leave your gourd and then the glass is okay? And if the glass can also be chanted over. So I think those are my 2 points. I'll bring in the other later. Thank you.
I think we okay.
Okay, like I say, yes, the glass can be enchanted over. The main thing here is your research. It all comes down to your research. And you, as a Christian, you need to do much of the prayer, because even the chance, whoever is, it comes round to who is doing it, who is preparing that milk. Because if the milk itself has been enchanted over, whether it is put in the chance or in the glass, it has been enchanted over. Its effect will take place. So it goes back to our research. Who do we want to do our things? If I have gone home and I've sat down with my parents and I've said, yes, my introduction is here, what is done? And they will say, yes, this is
According
done.
to culture.
According to culture, this is what is done. And then in my questions, because now, uh, like now, there are so many importation of cultures into different cultures. We know, like you have given an example, those skins are used in shrines. So I will ask my parents, do we really have to have this skin?
Because of what I
Because
know about it.
to me, this is what I know about it. As a Christian, I don't feel comfortable with it. It is a matter of doing your background research and then sitting down discussing. As you discuss with your parents, they will tell you, let's do this. This is what is done. And your question should be, why this? And in asking them that, they will bring out some of these things. In the old times, this is what used to be done, but why was it done this way? Now we are in this generation. Can't we change this?
I think, Sarah, there is more to this, so you can continue the debate, like you said. But I don't know that you picked anything from what we said, and maybe you need to tell that person also if he's on call. We are saying, like for instance, my argument was, if for just the chance is just for carrying, and we used it just because that was what we had at that time. The question I'm asking, now that we have glasses, do we still have to carry the chance? if that was the reason. But my argument says that it may be beyond that carrying, and there is a spiritual attachment, if I may say. And especially when you see people insisting on things, you need to pay attention and ask questions. This is done this way. This is done this way. Tulina okutta omukago, olina okuzaalibwa mu nyumba. Can't we? The Bible says, if the two of you agree, can't we agree? That's why I'm here. I've agreed to take your daughter. Do I have to eat the beans? Do I have to drink the water? You welcomed me. Kata say you gave me a drink. Yes. What is special with this particular drink? I don't feel the grace to do that. Again, discuss with your intending partner. And I need you to know that if you are a believer, there are standards you need to maintain. And you don't need to sink low to some of the cultures. Some of the cultures, they are deceptive. That's why I took you to Genesis 29 to see. Here in our culture, you don't marry the elder when the young when the elder is there. But this is the one I love. But the culture altered the man's destiny. So do your research well and agree with the Bible. If you agree with the culture, there are consequences. Not every issue in our culture is bad. Why? For instance, marriage. Marriage is God ordained. Even Muslims marry, traditionalists marry. But how do we marry? What is the process involved in this covenant making? Will determine our spirituality comes in. If we attach negative spirituality will come in our marriage. If we attach godless spirituality will show up. So what do you want to invite, for instance? What do you want to carry with you in your marriage? All those questions, you make a choice. The choice is again in your hands. Amen. I don't know that there is something that have you picked that? Is there something that you picked from that? Sarah?
It's well, Uncle Ronnie. It's well understood. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Monica says, do culture, say again?
No, it's okay. You can go on.
Do cultural dances also have any covenant in marriage? I try to avoid that. Is it a time to dance sexist dances at that gate? Dancing and rejoicing is good. But again, what type of dance are you dancing? This question we should ask, what type of dances? What does it mean? In Uganda, there are dances you dance for Balongo, there are dances you dance when you're happy. So what dance is being danced? Is it to rejoice? Is it portraying promiscuity? What is it showing? That should be the first line of question you should ask. Entertainment may be good, but how? What is it involved? So some of those culture dancing is okay. It is part of us. It is God who made us to dance. But what dance are you dancing for? What reason? Are you showing nakedness? Are you dancing, inviting demons? What exactly is the dance about? Those are questions you should be asking. Dancing is okay, but what, why, how? Okay. And then Rachel says, what do you do when parents insist on things like the coffee beans? Come back to your partner and discuss. Pray. Share with them. That's why I shared with you. If any two shall agree, this marriage we are entering in with my husband, we don't want this. Don't force it on us. The Bible says this. Keep discussing. They insist, they say, but that we want, this is what we want. This is our marriage. It is going to be back and forth, but you see, when you even if they forced you to do it, but you stated your case, God will show you grace because it was not part of you. Then the other thing that, for instance, what we did with where I went, they brought it, gave that to us. We had already coached the brother, and give you as if you're peeling it, and as you throw it in the mouth, it goes down. You don't swallow it. You know why? We don't believe in the thing. You're trying to force it on. We don't believe in it. It's just we do not want to do it. At the same time, we want the sermon to go on. We talked about wisdom. That word, use it very well. Be as wise as serpents, but as humble as doves. So the other thing I put, the other scripture I put there, Jesus said that they are in the world, but they are not of this world. I pray that you don't protect them. Don't take them out of the world, but protect them. In other words, insulate them. Do not isolate them. So the prayer we are praying, we are going this quangular, they believe like this, they breathe like this, but let none of those things come to pass in our lives because we disapprove of them. So when you go in with knowledge, with prayer, you are covered. But what is it that the two of you, if the wife is saying eat and the husband says I don't eat, you are already having a challenge with your covenant in marriage. But if the two of you have agreed, and then the parents say you must say that we are doing this because of you, but we actually do not agree with you. And that's why we say discuss all these things before you go there. We don't want drama on that day. Let them know what you stand for and what you don't stand for. Another issue is about the certificate. Some of us who have married from kingdom areas and come from kingdom areas sign the certificate for Uganda, for the Toro Kingdom, Ankole Kingdom. These days we have the chiefdoms. It is part of revenue generation. Yeah, but it comes with the spiritual attachment. And the point we want you to understand that before you go for the church certificate, they want you to sign the one of the tradition. In other words, you're marrying the tradition first. Where do they take the money? Which altars are you subscribing to? That's why we come and wait at the altar in the church, not even the whole church, but there is the place where we do the covenant making of a marriage. It is at the altar. The altar registers it. So when you do it outside of that and you sign the certificate, what are you signing about? These are issues that you need to be very careful about. You do them before you do the church thing. You actually marrying yourself. You're actually entering into a covenant with them before you enter into a covenant of life. That's why we are really passionate and say, please be careful with what you are doing. Whether in eating, whether in speaking, whether in dancing. Remember, the gate is a gate of covenant what? Making. Are you hearing me? So whatever you're doing, make sure you do using biblical pattern. Let me hear from the two questions. Is this coming through, Monica and Rachel? Monica, is this coming through what we are saying?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay.
It's
Rachel?
clear. Yeah, Uncle Bbossa.
Okay.
Uncle Ronnie,
Yes.
still on that issue you're addressing, there is, I think I had texted in the message area, photos of the king
Yes.
and the queen are for in Buganda. And
Yes.
also, actually, a law has passed that you have to take a trip. I see people taking trips. I think I've also been a part of, I do a lot of Mikolo. So honestly, we've been told to take trees and it looks as simple as a tree. I hear because it's an order from the king to promote afforestation, like growing of trees in the country. What do you have to say about that?
We have heard the king's cry and his instruction. We shall do it at our time, not this time of ours when we are making a covenant. We have taken note, but you cannot force me to bring a tree. What is in the tree? And that's why we are talking about wisdom. You see, a tree is good. What is the motive behind the tree? They can even give you a very good reason. But remember, when you do that, what altar are you aligning with? This should be a spiritual question. You know, the pictures of the queen and the king. What are they? What are you trying to do? You are aligning with this powerful throne. Why not align with the throne of heaven? You're worshiping. You're worshiping. Now, if you don't discern that, I'm telling you, you are worshiping. You are covenanting. And this is the thing that I really want you to take away. Whatever you're doing is part of that covenant. You will not reach the altar of the church. You're covenanting your marriage as every other place. And you think that finally you will consecrate it at the altar. They have chanted over your milk you've drunk. They have chanted over the ruombo you're eating. And you think finally when I go to marry, this marriage is biblical. That's why we are finding problems with marriages. And people are asking, but I thought they are about believers. They seem to be believers, and maybe even true they are believers. But there is a mix-up of things. Where did it begin? Covenant making. If you could understand that, I would really, really, really appreciate if you understand the word marriage is a covenant. Whatever we do is covenant making. You put in junk, you will get junk. Now the question is, what material do you want to build with? Do you want to build with gold, silver, hair? What? This question you should have the answer. Say, me, I want to build like this. I want to build on the godly foundation. Whatever is not clear with me, whether culture, whatever, I don't want. That should be your take. And pray like that. And when you are on God's side, God will be on your side. Another question on Jacob. Yes. Is this answered, Sarah?
Yes, it is. Another thing also we missed out, the certificate for your clan.
The same answer apply.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. On Jacob married his first cousins, isn't this incense? As I already mentioned, there was a problem with Jacob's marriage. He intended to marry one person, he ended up marrying four. So you can see what the point that we are raising here. You can do as many models as possible. His intention was this, culture altered it. That is a takeaway. God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much, Uncle Ronnie. Fellow Jitsa, your hand has been up for a while. I still want to ask. Fellow Jitsa, just share with us your name and ask a question.
Just a question. This is Faith.
Yes, Faith.
There's the issue of, we had an introduction, but thank God I had a say on what was supposed to be brought home. And I cancelled a number of things. One of them was the lamp, the paraffin, and the one sheep that was supposed to be brought home, because I didn't understand why one sheep was brought home, as compared to the goats and the cows. Now, my question is, they're always asking for goats and cows. Does it have anything to do with the cultural covenants? And if yes, how do we do this? Because it seems to be the main issue.
Many of our cultures, they understand worship and sacrifice. So many of those things are intended for sacrifice to the gods, dedication to the gods, blood. blood, 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 blood. Now, when you read through the Bible again, Abraham's servant took 10 loaded camels. He didn't take the camels. It was 10 camels loaded with the stuff, gifts he gave, not the camels. But again, because our culture is idolatrous and they are good at worship and sacrifice, the demand for blood is high. So what do? Bring goats, bring this, bring that, bring that. It is a heavy thing. But when I read the Bible, I see one of the culture there, they took stuff which is not bloody. Some men of our culture, they ask for this bloody stuff. So take note. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, lastly, Sarah, very briefly, last question.
Banange, hope it's the last. Maybe one again on the reaction of Uncle Ronnie's point. Bloody cows and what? Lately they say change it into money. Aren't you doing the same thing in the end? Oh, that erased something. Then the other thing I need clarity on about this whole Bako being welcomed home with what you said, the coffee and all that, which symbolizes that covenant. When you replace it, I've seen people replacing it with biscuits and water. Aren't you doing the same thing? I've seen others replacing it with Holy Communion. What's your take on that? Could it be scrapped off like completely, or it can still be replaced by some other things? And then maybe Mrs. Bbossa, if she could help me explain the meaning behind the so many bianzis girls are given in the West. I've gone to my friends' introductions and they give them, there is that long thing they put and it has those colored, beautiful, I think they are the gourds. What does that symbolize? Thank you.
I think you're going to do that. You have a chat online on email, not now. As you realize, we say this is a long topic. Different cultures do it differently. But I don't know that you're missing a point. This is all part of covenant making. The takeaway should be, what type of covenant do I want to make with my husband? What do I want to input? Please keep that at the back of your mind. Some people replacing the coffee beans with biscuits. It is the same thing. Can we do away with it? I would recommend that. Should it be insisted on? That's why we say that we need to be wise as serpents. Since it is covenant making, Holy Communion, it will sound good for me. Do this as often as, this cup is the blood of the new covenant. So when you do that, you are walking in the Bible. You are protected by the word of God, not the other way around. And that's why you're talking about walking wisely, knowing the world where you are living in. They are in the world. Protect them. Don't take them out of the world, but protect them while they are there. Insulate them, or not isolate them. So you're going to interface with people. But what do you allow yourself to enter in? You have choices. Wisdom says, if there is an insistence, then have Holy Communion, because that is part of covenant making. That's biblical. I'm protected. But don't bring those cultures of yours of beans, gourds, and vianzis, and bring them into my current now and force me. That is not a godly. It's not a balanced covenant. There is no agreement. So there are others we can push off, and that's why we are saying these things. Agree with your spouse, negotiate, ask them what is required. Why should we do this? Me, I wouldn't want it. Why? The moment you hear they are insisting, there is some attachment there. Investigate more, pray more. That is the way forward. God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much, Uncle Ronnie and Auntie Florence. Sarah, I know the questions are still many, but we have run out of time. And as we mentioned in the beginning, these things are many and they're wide. We have focused mostly on Buganda culture and some bit of West, but there are very many cultures in Uganda, cultures in the north and the northeast, and all those. So each of them has their own different things. So what we've heard from Uncle Ron is basically the principle, principle on how to handle these things.
Yes.
The details may vary depending on where you're
Yes.
going, but the principles still apply. And that's the
Yes.
key thing that we should take from here. Maybe if I'm just to add a thing or two as we wind up. Uncle Ron talked about, actually Auntie Florence talked about who is doing the things, who is preparing the
Yes.
meal, who is preparing and all that. If you can, I'll give an example from my own ceremonies. We were fortunate enough to have my wife Senga was a born again and prayerful woman. She was not the most immediate singer. Ideally, there were like I think there were two others who should have been in line for the Mukolo, but then thankfully, we're able to get her, who was a little distant, but she was able to serve the purpose, and she was very prayerful and she was very born again. So in executing the Senga duties, she knew about the cultures and what's supposed to be done, but she was like, no, don't worry, I'm not going to do those things. If anything, I'm going to be praying for you guys. So while she was behind there doing the things, she was instead on our side looking out and said, this is happening, this is happening, I should pray. So when she came and served me the food and all those, she sat there. It's like, don't worry, everything is okay. We are praying for you. So when you can, it's more about who is doing it for you, like Aunt Florence said. Then also another thing, with the Bogezi. Again, our ceremonies, Uncle managed to link us up with two Bogezi who are both born again, my side and my wife's side.